What is up, summoners, and welcome to the channel. Today, this quick tip video is going to be looking at and focusing on ways to help you play through Bane from Act number 5.2, the final two chapters within 5.2. There are, I would say, a handful of different good ways of playing through it, either having power control, somebody who can regen through it all, or somebody who can chain together a bunch of stuns. But before I show those specifically, I want to give some just general direction and advice that will help you out regardless of the character that you are using for Bane. It's very important that you are aware of how much power that you're feeding the enemy relative to how much time is left on the Bane debuff. And a good rule of thumb is that if the enemy has like 50% or more time left on the debuff, that's generally pretty safe. You can push them into a bar of power. That's enough time to be able to bait out the special and then either to evade back again and try to time up the parry stun with a 5-hit combo plus a special, or sometimes just a 5-hit combo is enough. Now, if they have less than 50% time left on Bane, you really don't necessarily want to push them into a bar of power. A lot of times, yes, you'll have enough time to bait it out, but sometimes what you'll find, and this is especially true if you're fighting characters who have a very long animation with the S1, you see that with Moon Knight, is you shouldn't always plan to be able to bait out the special. Sometimes they won't do it right away, and sometimes when you finally get them to bait it out, if they use it, a lot of times if it's a longer special, you will have Bane on you for a couple of seconds, and if you don't have somebody with regen, that's going to wreck you throughout just a couple of fights. So 50% or more time left on Bane, you can push them into a special. 50% or less, basically under 50%, you really want to play it a little bit slower. Go ahead and evade back. Don't push them into a bar of power. Try to parry stun and time everything up to where, you know, by pushing them into a bar of power with a 5-hit combo, it's also transferring over Bane. And again, you can do that by parry stunning and waiting. You know, that gives you a good half second or more. Plus the 5-hit combo, plus if you've got a special, so there shouldn't be any problem at all switching Bane over. Now that becomes much easier when you have characters that can chain stuns together. Like for instance here, I'm using Hulk, but you could also use a Daredevil, a Ronin, Gambit. And what I mean by that is you pretty much always want to make sure that you've got a special, whatever special stuns, you want to make sure that you've got one kind of sitting in your back pocket. So if you find yourself in a situation that, okay, I'm in the middle of a 5-hit combo, it's not quite enough time that when I finish it, it's going to push them into Bane, you can just go ahead and pop that special to get the stun, to give yourself that little bit of extra time to be able to push Bane over onto them. It becomes a lot easier when you have Hulk. You can very easily chain one S1 into another S1, just because with the Fury up, it is a long stun, it gives you a lot of power. So it's very easy in that sense, as long as you make sure you always have a special sitting there ready to go. Right there you can see it was very close whether or not my 5-hit combo was going to push Bane over. So I decided to use the S2, gave me the stun, gave me the extra little bit of time there that I needed. Right here again, my 5-hit combo wouldn't finish it off, but I've got the stun ready. So again, that gives me enough time, and then I can go ahead and finish it off. Like I said, Hulk, Ronin, even Black Bolt. If you're special enough to have King, you can use that. Daredevil's a good option in the last chapter because you can also use him against the Collector. But as long as they've got a reliable stun, that is really what you're looking for. The next way that you can play this is by bringing in a character that can fully control the enemy's power. And I show you the setup here because I want to look to Black Widow Hulk synergy with a chance to stun on specials. I really like this for power control champs because you don't have to worry about pushing them, you know, into an S3. You can hit them as much as you want, so having that little bit of extra stun is nice, which it doesn't proc at the beginning, but it does at the end. Essentially, the idea here is that if you don't ever have to worry about baiting out the enemy special, then you're basically just always a parry away from switching over Bane. Which Vision, OG Vision would be the better option here, obviously, because you get the bar of power right away. With Vision AOU, it's a little bit slower because you have to build up to your S1. But what I do here is I get control by baiting out the S2, and then I'm fully in control now here. What you'll see is I actually start to chain. I get a bunch of the stuns together, I think the next time that I use it, which is what I was mentioning, that Black Widow Hulk synergy. But by not ever having to worry about the baiting out a special from the enemy, you can just continually hit them, especially when they're stunned like this. Magic, Vision, AOU, OG Vision, Psylocke, Hawkeye, Dormammu, even Voodoo to some degree. Anybody who's got power control would be a good option for pairing up with that stun chance. But it's really a little bit easier this way because you don't have to worry so much about timing up your Bane, because, like I said, it's just a parry stun away, being able to switch that over. And then finally, and this option probably kind of goes without saying, but I'll throw it in here just so that somebody doesn't think I missed it. If you run a character who has high regen that can basically nullify the effects of Bane, I'm speaking specifically here of X-23 and Wolverine, you don't really have to necessarily change your normal fighting style. The only thing you have to do is, I would suggest not using any specials at all. Let your power bar fill all the way up so you can get the maximum amount of regen. This is probably a good option for people who are running suicides that do not want to turn them off. This will give you the benefit of the increased damage from the suicides, but also you will not be taking recoil damage because you're letting your power bar fill all the way up for the regen. This strategy works well for both X-23 and Wolverine. I think I found probably a little bit more success with Wolverine, just because he's got a little bit more regen that you can also stack, so it's a little bit easier to play on his end. I'm not saying that you should totally forget about Bane. As you can see right there, blocking damage is quite a bit, so as little damage from Bane that you can take is a positive. But overall, because of the regen from both these characters, essentially it's going to completely nullify it. Whatever damage you're taking from Bane, you're going to pick right back up on regen. So just do your very, very best to take very little block damage, and then parry as much as you can to get Bane switched over. Now, I know that was probably an oversimplified version, but honestly, you just got to do some testing for yourself. I think the best team setup is probably a combination of all of these things. Having a regen, I would bring both Wolverine and X-23. I would bring Hulk or Daredevil along for both the Collector and having the chain stuns together. And then also having a power control in your back pocket is nice as well. Again, Magic or one of the Visions is probably your best option there. And that's going to wrap up this quick tip video. This series is something that I've gotten away from the last couple of months, but I would like to get back into. Try to put these short videos out once a week with helpful tips on content that we're currently going through. Let me know if you have any questions down below. If you have any further suggestions, would love to hear them as well. Follow me over on Twitter. The link is down in the description. Outside of that, thank you so much for your support, and until I see you in the next video, have a great day.